can you get growth over 3% in this country?
On a sustained basis, it's certainly possible, but probably not that likely. I think if there's a big tax cut, for example, that lowers tax rates, you might have a bump because there'd be increased demand, increased consumer spending.
That gets you over 3%?
Probably not. I would take the under on that. I would take the under.
That's interesting, given that, of course, the president has said repeatedly all he wants to do is get over 3%. In fact, thinks he can ultimately get to 4%. You think that's not even possible?
Well, you know how good economists are at forecasting, and I'm an economist, but I would have to say that's a pretty long shot. And the reason is, we're not in the same world we were in 20, 30 years ago. In particular, our workforce is growing much more slowly. So just pure demographics, number of people available to work, is not consistent with 4% growth. And then, you know, at the moment, we're kind of in a lull in terms of the application of new technologies to
what could it do to unemployment in this country? And I know you think we're close to full employment, but when you talk about some of the policies that have been laid out by the administration, they are hoping to goose the economy and to goose jobs in particular. What's the lowest rate you think you could legitimately get to, given some of the policies that have been talked about?
Yeah, I think of this, the full employment as kind of a zone rather than a single number. But clearly we're approaching the level of unemployment whereby it's just much harder to get it much lower, because if you do, you know, it's just going to be hard for firms to find workers. It's going to start pushing up wages and prices more quickly. So the Fed would probably react to that if
we do want wage growth, though.
We want real wage growth. We want wages to grow more quickly than prices. But if you get a wage price spiral where you're just running to stay where you are, that's not really helpful.
Have you had conversations with either Steven Mnuchin or Gary Cohn about these views?
I've had one meeting with Gary Cohn where we talked about a number of issues, regulatory and other issues. I have not met Secretary Mnuchin, so no.
Is it a problem to try? In other words, okay, let's say the secular stagnation story is right. Let's say your story is right, that because of population growth and productivity growth at the moment, we're kind of in this 2% range. Doesn't it make sense for the administration to do things that would essentially effort higher growth? And if it fails, I'm not sure there's all that much downside.
Well, it depends on the type of policy. But yeah, no, I didn't mean to say that. You were asking me if we could get to 4%.
Right.
I don't think
but
that's
it's not a problem to try.
Not if it's smart policies. For example, the infrastructure. You know, look around. Obviously, infrastructure in America is not where it should be. And some smart investment there could make us more productive. That could help longer-term growth. Tax reform, make the tax system more efficient. That would be helpful.
So when you add all this up, just one second, sorry, Becky.
Go ahead.
What do you think is a better reasonable target? I've heard a lot of people say, you know what? If the president can add a half a point, go home and declare victory. Because a half a point is a lot, and if it's sustainable, it creates a different outcome than if it's a one-time bump up to 3 and then you go back down to 2.
That's right. Well, I would just suggest trying to do smart policies that improve productivity and improve potential. And if it's 2.5, great. If it's 3, even better. But there's lots of things that affect growth, so you can't really, you know, you can't fine-tune that, but you can try to move things in the right direction.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.